David, Olga, good to see you both. Thank you so much for your time.
Hello,
Hi.
David, félicitations, congratulations, everything you are doing in the horror genre. I'm a big fan of your work. I kind of wanted to know, because every movie kind of starts with an idea, a concept, then the script comes to life and you talk and then you go do your thing as director. Was there anything specifically with this film that was kind of unique and exclusive compared to your past films, compared to Mads and Them, that was special specifically?
I think every time I try to avoid myself to do too many things, so I need to find a way to tell a story with kind of, you know, I don't like to have too many options. So when I did Mads, it was one take. So when you do a movie in one take, you cannot do whatever you want. I mean, like, you have so many stuff that you need to do differently in order to have this works, and it was in one shot for a reason. And in others, in other sorry in other I knew that I needed to find an idea that is connected to the story that will help me to find the right path as a storyteller. And the fact that you only see the face of Alice and nobody else, and that she's surrounded with presence which actually you don't really see. I mean, like, you do see them, but not the face, was the main way, the cool way to go. And this was my intention as a director, that I needed to focus on, and it was tough, and it was different, and I felt like it was really fitting well with the story, and that difficulty was a richness at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to also say Mads was my favorite horror film of last year, by the way. It was
Thank you.
it was my favorite one. It was hard because it was a big year for horror movies, but it was my favorite one. Just saying.
Thank you so
um
much for that.
yeah, Olga, I wanted to ask you, first of all, great to see you, by the way.
Good to see you too.
And I kind of wanted to ask you specifically with, the current state of horror films, there's a lot kind of happening in regards to the different ways to scare people. And there's the psychological game, and you don't just need the gore or the monsters. And I'm wondering, from a script to screen journey, like getting this script and then going and filming it and seeing it come to life, what's that like, reading those kind of psychological elements, those kind of edge of your seat, making you think elements? Because I feel like that's a new thing in horror films right now, where it's elevating the genre because it's not just about the gore or the monsters. What do you think about that?
Well, this is exactly what interested me in this project. I don't like gore, and I don't like monsters really. And well, it's, I can't relate to the supernatural. It's very difficult for me. I mean, there are, it depends what, right? There's sci-fi, and then there's like too much of a, um, to me, I like real stories. If I can identify and think, oh, this is happening in real life, this is what touches me the most, because we are living in real life after all.
Yeah.
For me, it's not easy to just like project and live in a fairy tale. But that's this is how I am personally. And so for me, when I read the script, this was one of the scariest scripts to read, because it was psychologically terrifying and yet true. These are the things that happen and can happen, and everything spoke. Things touched me. Things brought back certain memories, certain things that I've lived. I didn't live everything, obviously, but obviously, there are certain things, like, of course, the whole beauty concept. I've worked in the beauty industry. That whole thing I was familiar with. But thinking. I remember I had to like look out if there's no one in the corridor when I was reading. I even locked the room, my bedroom, which I never do. I was, and usually as I said, I don't even believe in these things, but I was so in it, it completely touched me here. It was very powerful. And then, of course, this is why I said yes. I said, this is very real. The story is real, and yet it's absolutely terrifying. You don't need to invent some kind of zombies walking around.
Mm-hmm.
This is real life, and it's a terrifying real life. it explored very important subjects that are real, that are important, that are destructive, that do us a lot of harm, like child abuse, all sorts of child abuse going on in this movie, but two different ones actually. And then those people that have been abused, they in their turn abuse others, and it creates a chain. It creates a chain of abusers. If you are an abuser, you will create an abuser yourself, and so on. And that way, you know. And the other question is, what is a real monster? Are monsters just born like that out of the blue, and it's just, just happens by chance, or do we create them ourselves? Yeah. All sorts of things that are, of course, very important. The whole beauty industry, of course, beauty industry as in like subjectifying young children as well. Yes. It's a very perverse story. Because obviously my character is going through a lot of abuse while being young, and it's who is abusing her. It's the closest person in the world. It happens behind the walls. Nobody knows about it. It's her own mother. And what's terrifying is the mother probably, like this, I'm not sure, but probably the mother doesn't even know that she's abusing. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is what's terrifying. It was very interesting. Like, the mother probably, if you interviewed her, she said, but I love my daughter. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I imagine her saying that. She's not even aware. And this is even more terrifying, because at least when you know you're a monster, okay, you know what you're doing. But when you don't, and you're persuaded you're doing good, it's basically this whole selfishness going on, and living in another reality. And
yeah. Well, that's a very good point. And David, I want your kind of opinion on this, because what Olga's kind of referring to as well is the genre right now in horror films is it's very complex. It's very layered. A lot of the important issues are being put in center field for these films and everything. And I'm wondering, from your perspective, directing this film, what was that balance like? You want to make it spooky and scary, but at the end of the day, like Olga said, this is tackling very important issues about abuse and everything, and like a psychological game. Was that kind of, difficult at times to kind of like, have a balance of the scary component? You're making a horror film, but you're also making an important film. Like, what do you think about that specifically?
I do think that I mean, like, the horror movies I love, there is always like a realism that, I mean, like, or echo about something that is human and real. That for me is always more frightening than something which is actually not real. I mean, even if you take a movie like Alien, which is a spaceship where an extraterrestrial hardcore terrible form is like getting inside I mean, when you hear the filmmakers and the writers who wrote Alien, I mean, like, when the beast is coming here and like having something inside the mouth of it's kind of an abusing stuff, that you have something in your throat, and it feels real, because it makes you you feel bad about it, because it has a realism, even if it's a science fiction movie, and I do feel like you need to feel connected to the character, and you need to feel connected to some kind of a reality in order to make things scary.
Yep.
But we're not in a spaceship, and it's much more real than Alien, of course. But the fact that I mean, like, when I saw this beauty pageant contest with kids and all that, there is a monster. There is it's kind of a freak show, And I'm not saying that the kids are freaks. It's for me, it's more that the parents around are freaks. And when you see those mothers with their beautiful smile, their white teeth, like, oh, my kid is so beautiful, oh, it's great. There's, I feel like I'm in Freaks, the movie from Todd Browning. I mean, like and so and so I found in this universe some kind of real monstrosity that actually was fitting well to the story. So I don't know if my answer is clear, but I do find that is that this it's a real life monstrosity, and that and Texas Chainsaw is real, and like a lot. I mean, like my favorite horror movies are always a bit realistic because you feel like it's more, it feels more real. So if it's more real, it for me it feels more frightening.
And Mads as well, I find it interesting with your answers because that was exploration of, I mean, spoiler alert, but like, infection, zombies, and everything. This one take of this night of going to a party and everything and just take it over. But it's just kind of, it felt like one of those things where it's like the youth, right, who are partying, doing all these things, going crazy, and then this kind of infection. Like that's what I also got from it too. The youth, like it's these teenagers at this party. And this thing is just kind of infecting certain people. That's what I got from it. Like the monster kind of component of, these free spirits and everything. You know what I mean by that? That's something I got from it as well.
Yeah, and I shot it like a documentary. So the fact that you're in one take and it's almost like a documentary, it's like you showing like it's in a real life, and it's always something I'm trying to do when I'm dealing with those kind of stories, is not to get too much into not realism, because as myself, I'm not scared about things which are not real. So as I am the first one who try to be scared with what I do, or try to, yeah.
Yeah, and Olga, I want to ask you a question, but super quick. I have to say, and I'm sure there was moments when you were making this movie with David, but in Mads, Mads has one of my favorite cinematic moments ever, and it's a shot. And David, very quickly, when he gets to the party, and when you quickly see the eyes on the mirror, if you know what I'm talking about, that is like one of my favorite scenes of a movie ever, because I've thought about that because you did that so subtly and quick, and like a lot of people might have missed it. I did not miss it. I couldn't stop thinking about that. The eyes in the mirror. You know what scene I'm talking about, of course, right, David? Yeah. So I just wanted to say that. Olga, I did want to kind of ask super quick before we wrap up. You've worked on so many different things that have different kind of elements, different worlds, different characters, but it's all storytelling at the end of the day. And I'm wondering how separate are past projects for you compared to something like Other? Like, do you bring mindsets or preparations from big worlds like, Quantum of Solace or, Thunderbolts to something like Other, or vice versa, or are they completely separate once you wrap them?
Oh, yeah, no, I don't connect projects at all. To me, like I approach it from the blank. I cannot, otherwise then I don't want any parts of previous things to be, I like to be different and do something different, so there's no point bringing things. And to me, I do disconnect. To me, there's a different things, and I really take a project per story. I just live in the story. It has nothing to do. I don't really compose much, as in like I don't really bring things by piece as a puzzle. I'm more of a, I feel them. I don't. What's the thing? I don't really articulate the story in my mind. It's more about feeling every bit. For me, it's non-verbal. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. No, I do.
I just feel it through, and that's how it comes out.
Yeah.
For me, if I have to, I internalize it. It's not about, it's not about what it looks like. It's about what it feels like.
Absolutely. And, it was an honor and privilege to speak with both of you. I can't wait for people to see Other on Shudder. David, Olga, so great to chat with you both. Thank you so much for your time. Really, really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.